Hello, everybody. I'm Naoki Ienaga of Dubstar Records and Record City. I'm a specialist of Jamaican music, and I'm in the business for 30 years. And I'm gonna even hotter than before.
What was your introduction to Jamaican music?
Oh, it's a long story. It's when I was like a 14 years old, 15 years old, always in search of the music which I had never heard before, and bumped into some of the reggae music. And I used to listen to some of the dance hall stuff at the disco. Like late 80s, Jammies and Gussie Clark stuffs and those international hits. We used to hear them at the disco, and it was very impressive to me. And of course, Bob Marley and the Wailers, for the more like a rock side of the go to record shop and usually selling for like Beatles and Rolling Stones and those kind of rock music. We could buy Bob Marley record there.
Right.
Yeah, that is another reason. And some of the English punk and Clash and those bands hanging out with reggae people, and that is another way of introduction of Jamaican music to us, and also skinheads, mods, those kind of the culture really lead me to finding Jamaican music. But that is kind of mid 80s and late 80s, and that's a long time ago.
When did you start the label? Was that the first label you started?
Yeah, Dubstar Records got started from like early 2000. I can't remember exactly. The reason why I started my label was that yeah, I always wanted to start my label, but Japan is a far place from the Western countries where majority of the audience are. So at that time, there used to be lots of record labels putting out good releases. But after 2000, lots of record labels went out of the business, and also the labels, the pressing plant in Jamaica, kind of stopped pressing records. So my business, retail and wholesale of Jamaican music was already big enough in Japan, and I needed enough supply, so I had to make records and CD by myself to keep my business going.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
that's kind of how I get started.
So it was just a record shop at first.
At first, I started at a mail order record shop. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I was 20 years old at the time when I started it. Uh, I started going to Jamaica and dig records there. And yeah, at that time, nobody cared about old records. So they used to ask me, why you come all the way from Japan and wanna these kind of the old records? But people were asking me.
The other thing that surprised me about Dub Store is uh, the various labels that you were able to release.
Right,
In even Studio One, which is
right,
like
right.
really tight knit and stuff. So, how did you get connected with Studio One?
Oh, that's actually how my business really got serious. That's all about Sir Coxon Dodd. We call him Mr. Dodd.
Right.
I was doing the like a treasure hunting kind of the reggae record shop. Go to Jamaica and dug records in all over Jamaica. And but I was never really serious about the other business. I was not really serious for that. But after I met Mr. Dodd in New York at his shop, I really wanted to get involved in his music, and I became very serious for the business. And I changed my business style from rare second-hand records to new records. I mean, factory new, which new just come out from the pressing plant, reissues and also new records as well, and I started selling them to stores and Tower Records, HMV, and those kind of the chain stores as well. Yeah. So when I went to Studio One to buy records, I was buying just a little bit. But in 3 months later, I went back there and buy about 3 times more and go back there again and buy lots more and lots more. And the business became bigger and bigger. And he looked after me very well. And he's got a really good sense of humor and always laughing. And he's a great gentleman. And when I first saw him, he never looked like a Jamaican music producer. He looked like more like a jazz and soul music producer, and really a gentleman, totally different to the other Jamaican people. Yeah, the international too, and he always had lots of legendary people around him, and always telling joke. it was so funny. Yeah. Yeah, he looked after me very good. Sometimes he called me and for some certain things. Yeah. And ever since I always hang out at the Studio One in Brentford Road with everybody there. When I'm in Kingston, I spend the most of my time at the Studio One. So all the rest of the music business people, when they need to find me, they just come to Studio One to look for me.
Did he ever call you Jackson?
Yeah. When he was saying about Jackson, but I didn't understand it. So I asked him, "Oh, where is Jackson today?" He was calling other people Jackson, and I thought his name was Jackson. Yeah, he called everybody Jackson. So in the Brentford Road neighborhood, some the local guys, from the kids to the grown-up people, they called Mr. Jackson.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about Derrick Harriott?
Oh, Derrick is he's got a store in the in shopping mall. Yeah, and he's always there, and he's one of the nicest person in the music business, and always very happy. I've never seen anything like miserable when it comes to Derrick Harriott. Yeah, he's always very nice and always with some of his friends, and he talks about the music a lot, and just a very nice person. And he's one of the oldest from the in the recording industry. He started from like a 58 or something like that at Jiving Juniors. So he went through the entire whole things. And he was recording in raga period as well.
Right.
So he's really great. He was, he is not Rasta. He didn't really go to Rasta music.
Yeah.
But he was like Black Panther and those kind of the Black consciousness movement that he followed. Afro hair, and if you go to his shop, you see the his merchandise. You still see those comb for Afro hair,
Oh,
long comb.
awesome.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Was this the first one with the guitar in earnest?
Yeah, that is the first one. Yeah, Federal Records, that is a very wealthy family from Lebanese family, and a very, very family-oriented family. His Paul Curry's father, Ken Curry, started recording studio before anyone else. That used to be only the studio in Jamaica.
Right.
Yeah, and in the early 60s, so everybody had to go to him to do recording. Ken Curry was a businessman, always looking for something, some business. And he bought a cutting lathe, cutting machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, to voice people's voice letter and send it to the family living abroad. Yeah, before Ska and those things happened, there was some mental band. So he could record, so he recorded music and he put out some of the mental stuff on 78 shellac.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was selling it at the store called Times. And it sold very good. So he got serious about the music business. And then that's how the recording industry gets started in Jamaica. It's all about him. They were doing federal records with their family members. So there are lots of family members, but after 1980, I think only Paul left in the music business, and all kind of went out of the music business. Yeah, and Paul Curry is one of the best cutting engineer ever in Jamaica. He's very, very good engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And he does high speed cutting, and he's got very good top class recording equipments. They were involved in the Capitol Records in California, Los Angeles, so they got supply of the music equipments from there. So they were always in very good advanced technologies. Always came to them. Yeah, Paul had his label called K and K, and he was pressing some records and CDs, and I was buying them from him. So I knew them from as a customer. And one day I started saying, "Hey, Paul, I want to put out some of your music, so please grant me the rights to do it." He said, "Are you gonna be my competitor? Where are you gonna send them?" And I said, "I sold them in Japan, Europe," and he said, "All right, except Caribbean. Caribbean is my business." Yeah, ever since he is my very good friend. I always, love to see him in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very great sportsman as well. He has many trophy of the Bluefish tournament. Yeah, in Port Antonio International Bluefish Tournament. He's very good.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, I think he got banned to the contest because he's too good.
This Kiddus I compilation, Graduation in Zion.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kiddus is actually my first kind of release, like a more like a hang out together and go out together and try to work on the project. And but before that, like Ernest wrangling guitaring Ernest, the music was already there. So I just took it on the digital format and cut it and put that out. The Kiddus was he really released about 3 or 4 songs in the 70s and 2 songs in the early 80s, something like that. There were 2. That's not enough to do the compilation. And he used to be the Sons of Negas from the very early days with China Smith. And I used to go to China's house every week to get his High Times records for my distribution business. Yeah, like 200 copies of Fade Away, Junior Biles, and Freddie McGregor, Revolutionist, those kind of records I was buying from China. And Kiddus was there. Usually Kiddus was there, just
Yeah.
just hanging out there. And he loves to talk about the politics and some of the difficult subject. And he always asks me, "Hey, why you come to Jamaica and do this and things like that?" And so I knew from China's place. When I started my record label, I already decided that first big project was Kiddus I. So I called him. Oh, I called China's place and hey, I want to do business with Kiddus I, and all his recording that belongs to him. Or is there some other owners? And he said, and China's association just told me everything belongs to Kiddus, and Kiddus will be very happy to see you. And then I visited Jamaica again, and he came to my hotel with holding his 2-inch tape. And he told me he just had a bad car accident, and he became had a bit like a broke, and so he was not doing music at all. He was totally out of the music business, and so we went to studio and bake some tapes and start getting music from the tape. But he didn't trust me in the beginning. He just gave me the rhythm, no vocal on it. Yeah, but after 6 months, he started to trust me, and we went to studio together and took the music out from the tape. All his musics are in 2-inch tape. None of them are mastered. Maybe he had them at that time, but all disappeared. After the hurricane, he lost his tapes, and some of the tapes he left in the recording studio, and he forgot about it. Some were in England, and some were in Florida. I remember I went to the Matumbi studio in London, and took about 2 tapes there, and Inner Circle's studio in Florida, Miami, and they gave me one very important tape. And we put together lots of unreleased materials with Kiddus, and we spend lots of money for studio fee and mixing, and we have to mix it. But today's equipment is not like old equipment, so we have to be very flat. Otherwise, the sound becomes very new. And so I have to be so. Mr. Blake from Matumbi, he really helped me doing that. We spent a lot of time in his studio in South London, and then and did a lot of work, and put and gather together the artworks, and finally I put that out. Took a long time, and since he got his music, then he can tour. You know, musicians can listen to those recordings, and they can play as a backing band.
Right.
So he kind of got back into the music business. So I'm very proud of that. Yeah, he toured France with China. That was just before the releasing, but we already had mastered tracks,
Mm-hmm.
so he could play there. And he was. I was in London, and I went to Paris to see Kiddus. Yeah, and I went there with Eaton Blake, the Matumbi, the original Matumbi. They
Yeah.
were very good friend, and yeah, and Kiddus was didn't play music for a long time, so he was kind of very
Nervous.
yeah, very nervous before the stage. But when he showed up on the stage, his name is so big from the movie. Everybody really cheered him up. And when
Mm-hmm.
he did that Graduation in Zion, the movie song, everybody really went crazy. And
Oh.
that was one of the best show I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, Kiddus.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, yeah. And we still hang out together. And my very good friend.